They are.
Subscribe today, soldier.
What?
Subscribe today, soldier.
I didn't know what you were doing.
Subscribe today, soldier. We're on.
Hey everybody,
Huh.
welcome to DreadLore. It's a tabletop role-playing game that rewards immersive roleplay. Tonight we are playing Into Space. In DreadLore, players use traits to do their bidding and to control the fiction. We rely more on those than we do dice rolls. It gives us the ability to change the narrative how the player wants to. Tonight, our cast is Bill Bunkum as the Arbiter, Ken Howl as Dolby Newman, Daniel Hooker is not with us tonight, but he's Private Burgess. I'm Drizzle, Private Skip Trace. Andrea Elliott-Johnson is Private Telmus. Katrina.
Yeah.
Okay. Jazzy Cabbage is Private Cherokee Sue. We'd like to thank the music, that's all lowercase letters, and Mr. Interrupt. Thanks to all of our Patreon people, Nostalgic, Natalia Cline, Tim Roberts, and Daniel Hooker. If you're interested, go to Patreon and you also can get a thanks. All the beautiful stuff you see is done by Couchfire Media. We also like to thank ttrpg Productions for whatever the fuck they do.
We don't really know
All that stuff.
what they do at all.
And so now, normally Hooker would do the sponsorship, but we have somebody else doing the sponsorship this evening.
Oh,
Yeah.
who could it be?
I worked really hard before it was last minute. I worked really hard, and I searched high and low for a sponsor. I kept on running around in circles and circles, only to eventually realize the futility of it all, and break down and get on my knees and weep, and cry and just.
You cry?
Question sometimes, and question life, really. And then, of course, came from the shadows like an old friend, nihilism. Oh yes, and nihilism told me that they could sponsor us if we wanted, but not that it really matters, only if we wanted to. And so nihilism wants to let us know for today that do you feel like you're stuck in a rat race? Do you feel like things just, aren't getting any better anytime soon, and maybe, and maybe it's time to just give up? Don't worry, because in the end, the entire universe is quickly accelerating to an inevitable heat death. Constantly expanding until everything eventually exhausts itself. So. Don't worry about it today. It'll all be over shortly.
It's all made up anyway.
So thank you very much, Nihilism, for sponsoring today's game, and we will look forward to working with you in the future, if we have a future.
If you're thinking of harming yourself, there's a number you can call.
It's 988.
Lord, I don't get triggered often. Andrea's talking, I'm like, huh? Indeed. Thank you, Nihilism. I subscribe to Nihilism. We believe in nothing, Lebowski. Nothing! Did you know?
Into the darkness with you.
Did you know? What? Ah, fuck. Now I don't. Her name, something man. What is her name? She played
Amy
the.
Man?
Yeah. Yeah. Like the 1980s star.
Yeah, I think that was an artist.
Artist, whatever. And she played one of the nihilists in The Big Lebowski. I didn't know this. If you see it, if you see her, and then you see her character, you'll understand why I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, because
It's Amy Man and Flea.
they mess up with they really it's Fleet.
Flea, you know,
Flea.
from
Oh,
Red
Flea,
Hot
like, boo, boo, boo,
Chili-
boo, boo, boo. Yeah.
Yeah,
God, I didn't know he was in it too. Well, look at me and look at you.
she wrote one of my favorite songs.
What is it?
I can't remember the name of the song.
It's so favorite, I can't remember it.
But it's like it's a really beautiful song.
Very forgettable.
Very forgettable.
One of my buddies.
Wise
who
Up,
was
I think it was the theme to Magnolia, or one of the big songs in Magnolia.
One of my buddies who was a long time Patreon member, Mr. Punksicle, introduced some of her music to me not too long ago. I guess we should probably play since we have 8 people watching.
Yeah, well, we're playing a game that is not Dungeons and Dragons. We are playing a role-playing game called DreadLore.
DreadLore.
In case you
That's
missed it.
LORE. If you want to check out anything about DreadLore, go to DreadLore.com. You can get the PDF of the core book for free. For free! And
And if we really,
go on.
if we really want to turn it to a different kind of Twitch stream, I do have the spaghetti already. So
Yeah, I know. I've been seeing how you're eating the spaghetti. I'm like, are we doing something here? Right, and there's some splat material. Good follow-up word for what we were just talking about. Into space is there. Just go to dreadlore.com and you can see all this shit. If you want to join all of our stuff, please do. Okay.
Do it.
Last, we left our group of fascist space marines and their compadres. Last game, I did a recap for the entire campaign. So if anybody wants to know anything, check out last stream, the first 20 minutes. I literally say everything. I'm not gonna do it again, but I will recap last session. What the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? Well, you guys, you landed
Taxi
on
speaking. Relax.
Novus Terra, the moon where this Novus Terra colony is. At long last, you've reached your destination, your mission destination. Of course, Andrea, you gotta stop that. What the fuck? That is extremely distracting. Don't joke. Don't joke. I be killing players with my jokes. Yeah, you arrive at Novus Terra. In your gunboat, the Cool Mint, which you have dubbed. You released from the ship this buggy, as it was called, this 20-foot tall, basically a transformer. It turns into a short circuit style Johnny 5, except we call it Johnny 25 because it's 20 feet tall. It can also fold down into itself into a kind of armored tank thing. And it's got some weaponry and such. You all jump on board, but not before, out of the darkness of the ship, smoke, 1980s style, we have a character reveal as a hidden cryo chamber pops out of the wall, and you're introduced to Corporal Silas, who will not actually be here today, but he was there last game. Corporal Silas is a sniper and goes along with you. You leave several of your NPCs.
Straight shooter, if you will.
It's a great shooter and a straight shooter, I suppose. Whatever. You leave several of your NPCs on the boat, most of your good ones, and you take off in the tank thing, which is run by Wilhelm Vesper, who's like the Matrix style plugged into your ship and over base Bluetooth can be plugged into your tank. You're all heading the 500 miles to the actual colony, the city of Novus Terra. This is a mining planet. It's rather. This is a word I'm gonna make. Is desertous a word?
Deserty.
What's the adjective form of desert? Dry, humid,
Arid.
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 It's not humid at all.
But
Non-humid.
desertous is a word.
Desertous, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
desert us. You were in the mountains. Dolby, your lieutenant, had you all sit down the ship in the mountains so that the colony, who was after you, because you've shot on several of their ships and disabled at least one of them. They're looking for you. As you're tearing ass towards the colony, letting Wilhelm Vesper lead the way. I'm trying to think if anything else really happened. As you're moving through this rough terrain, rocky, a little bit of sandy, you notice off to your port side, so your left side, in the distance, the great distance, the far off distance, there seems to be some sort of body of water. And then to the right would be mountains and that kind of thing. So you're in a valley that then leads to water and the city itself. As you see signs of a battle, rusted wrecks of military grade equipment lying here and there. You're on the outskirts of the battle. Craters from where explosions happened. You also note, or I should say Silas noted, that while the wreckage looks maybe hundreds of years old, by the erosion and what's the word I'm looking for that metal does? Rust. The oxidation, the patina. Turns out in this atmosphere, this highly oxygenated atmosphere, perhaps the material just rusted a lot faster. Perhaps the PNB, the Prime Naval Brigade's vehicles and stuff rust a lot faster in this atmosphere. Colony's been here for about 200 years. Alfred, your ship's robotic intelligence, an RI that you switched off after it kind of sort of tried to kill you, told you that it calculated there might be upwards of 16,000, maybe to 25,000-ish people here. That's assuming there hasn't been a plague or a war or some sort of influx of colonists. And that's pretty much where you all are. Okay. Everybody's on the tank that's in this game. The action is on.
Well,
Yes.
we had met.
Oh,
someone.
did you?
Yes.
Did you?
We did.
Yes.
What was that? What was that part?
Because we had tapped into the communications of the airships on this planet, and in doing so, we also tapped into the piggybacked signal that the dissidents were using, and so we learned the name Gostrom, and we ended up meeting someone who came out of a cave and was to take us to meet Gostrom.
Indeed. You will get a narrative point. So, by the way, for people in the chat, you can use your Dread points, aka channel points in Twitch, to gift the players a narrative point or a pip, and do a few other things. The descriptions of all that are in Twitch, or they should be. all you got to do is spend the points and say who you're going to give it to. And these are resources that the players can actually use.
Aladdin was the guy who came out to meet us.
Do you remember what Gostrom is?
Gostrom is it is the name of who is in charge, but it jumps around. It is not always the same person.
Like Negan in The Walking Dead. That's not where I got it from. I actually forgot about Aladdin. That was I was like, his name's Aladdin.
Their name. It's not
There, right? It's they.
Yeah.
Right.
Unibrow.
Yeah.
I may have been inebriated.
That was extra fun.
I may have been inebriated when Aladdin came to be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you were. I think there was inebriation.
Yeah. Right. So you have hopped off your tank. You're in this foothilly section of the mountains. About halfway, about a third of the way towards the main city. And you see this desert-dwelling person with a unibrow. You all are there. The action will be on you, Dolby.
I think the last thing I said was literally, take us to your leader.
Did you bid anything when you did that?
I will bid currently.
Aladdin. Cropped brown hair, rough, masked with a filter. Nipples. I have nipples written down. One giant eyebrow.
Cut out hole in his shirt where just his nipples protruded.
I'm gonna bid one of my flaws.
What the fuck?
I don't remember if that was my addition or not.
What have you said nipples?
Yeah, no, the nipples. We don't have any art for that. But hopefully, maybe in the movie we will. Because who doesn't like some good old fashioned nipples?
Good old nipples.
Doesn't matter who has.
Nipples.
Everybody's got them.
Oh my!
Nipples
my.
are like
Those are some
nipples are like assholes.
old-fashioned
Everybody's got one.
Check
I mean,
those
some
out.
trans masks choose not to take them with them when they get surgery.
I'm gonna bid one of my flaws, which is stigma. To try to convince, because I kind of like I don't seem reputable, and so I feel like I think that plays.
You don't seem. Dolby does not seem reputable.
Well, I mean, he's got a stigma attached to him. He seems like the whole the intergalactic. They don't hire him because he's the best of the best. They hire him because he gets stuff done, and
Right.
and they also talk shit about him behind.
He's a murderous space marine, is what you said.
He's not like a picturesque, good-looking fella. He's
the
kinda,
person you ask to do things when you don't want to know how it got done.
Yeah.
He's Star-Lord in the first Guardian of the Galaxies, where everybody's like, "You're leading them."
Star-Lord's sexy.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like
really?
Star-Lord if Star-Lord had been had his brain collapsed in a couple of times and been in cryo sleep for 150 years.
What he's saying is he's so sketch, he's a rough draft.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
he
on a
doesn't quite have
roll.
the smooth. He doesn't have the smooth brain like Burgess, but it's close.
No, there's
still ridges and lumps to catch ideas.
nothing polite about him. He's just like
Indeed.
a rusty pole.
As you all see Dolby up front talking to Unibrow, aka Aladdin. The action will be on you, Skip Trace. You being kinda sorta second in command.
You'll see me Skip hops down off of his out of the tank. He takes the rifle and throws it over his shoulder, but you see his hand go to his knife, and he grabs Lucille and has it ready to draw at a moment's notice, and he'll go up and stand right behind, or like to the behind and to the left of Dolby.
Right quick. You have no NPCs with you, correct? Except for right now Burgess and Silas.
Yeah, we've got 2 NPCs with
Yep.
us. Our NPCs, Brick, I'm sure, and Wilhelm are listening in,
Yeah,
as well as
Right.
anybody. And Archangel is also listening in.
yeah. But they're back on the ship. Cherokee, action will be on you as you see all this happening.
I mean, I'm always behind Dolby anyway, so I'm ready to fucking go. Standing there with my same old gruff out.
Silas will be on the tank with his sniper rifle, laying on his knee. Burgess, Jesus Christ, everyone's Burgess in this game. Cherokee, you may have noticed that Silas had chambered around just in case. And Burgess is sort of staring off into space at the horizon. Maybe for a moment you like tried to follow, kind of like when a cat looks off and you're like trying to find out what they're looking at, but you can't. No idea. He's sort of like looking around, maybe the sky.
Unknowable.
As you guys are standing behind Dolby, like the Mighty Ducks, flying V, as this desert dweller looks up at you, bows for a moment, hands out, realizing these heavily armed Marines are at their doorstep. Of course, we will take you to Gostrom. We must ask first, what are your intentions?
Well, ultimately, or like today, because I mean, there's a big ultimate, but I guess my intentions are, in a nutshell, are for the prosperity of the planet, and I feel like some of the powers that be in Central City don't share my intentions.
Aladdin nods, and we'll say that Aladdin has already told you their name is Aladdin. Please come with us. As they turn and start leading you into this this cave, the entrance is completely natural, formed. It looks like going into Castle Grayskull. Except, yeah, fuck it, looks like a big like skull almost if you look at it from the right angle. Time of day, remember, it's almost always like an evening feel during the daylight because of how the stars are positioned and such, and their distance. We'll say that you've been going for a pretty good time, so it's getting on in the evening. It's becoming very, very dark, and you see as that happens, the nighttime sky alight with thousands of stars because essentially no light pollution out here. As you move in.
Harry Bunkum redeemed. Don't slouch, guys.
Don't slouch.
Never.
Because we are in the dread, I'm gonna say bid one of my traits, which is tough, to be. Actually, I'm gonna bid low light because we're walking to. Is it dark in this cave?
Yeah. There are almost like a mine, as in like within a mine, little LED lanterns here and there that are strung together, with a wire.
No, I'm gonna bid low
get out in
light
front.
to see if there are any traps around and see if there are any gotcha moments. Just keep on my guard.
As you're bidding low light, looking around, Dolby, you note that it looks like at certain points in the ceiling, this naturally formed ceiling, there are explosive charges, perhaps to, block, barricade the door and that sort of thing. Beyond that, you don't see like murder holes or, Cthulian traps. It is a winding tunnel that could be defended against a large force. You can tell it is strategically chosen.
So, Aladdin, can you tell us a little bit about Gostrom?
What can I say that they cannot say for themselves?
I should probably give orders who's coming with me and who's staying.
You turn around and look, and they're all behind you. Save for Burgess and Silas.
Burgess and Silas will keep a watch with Wilhelm.
So, did you still want Wilhelm to move Johnny 25 over towards that wreckage, so if they fly over, they may think it's just a part of one of those wreckages?
Yeah, I think we do what we can to conceal our presence, so the orders go as they were. Katrina, Cherokee, Gib, you're with me.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
I'm gonna go into full-on door kicker mode and get out in the front.
Yep.
You can tell Katrina's actually pretty uncomfortable. You might not necessarily be able to guess why, but she definitely doesn't seem happy being here.
Okay, actions on you guys. As you're moving down, we're gonna go into the montage unless you're doing something.
I'm gonna use Street Sense to kind of do essentially the same thing that Dalby did, but just for my own sense of peace, looking for any kind of where we can be ambushed. Just kind of trying to monitor out as far ahead as possible.
As being up front, Cherokee, or near, I should say, Aladdin is in front, unless you're trying to go ahead of them.
I'll walk with Aladdin weirdly, but
yeah, with your assault rifle out. Every so often, it's over Aladdin's shoulder or even head, since you're so big, as they kind of look up. What was that? In door kicker mode, you can tell. Let's see. You can tell if this is a trap. Aladdin is probably dead and knows it. The thought may occur to you, what was Burgess looking at? Perhaps people coming in from behind. You could absolutely be man in the middle. You're in a tunnel that's tight, where your size and your numbers are not going to help you. And these big guns, the tunnel is maybe, we'll say, at the widest 15 feet. So you're not in a strategic you're not in an advantageous position at all. Close quarters is probably what it would come down to.
Katrina,
That's it. Sorry, 1 second. That said, just a moment. That said, you don't see anyone up there lying in wait. Sorry, go
on. Could you fill in, Gostrom, maybe on some of your family ties? I'm sure that whoever's listening has probably heard our transmission, and I think it would be cool if maybe you gave them a little shout out. Tell us about your family, if you would. Maybe some benefits for this Gostrom fella. See if they're interested. Because I'm sure they're listening.
You see Katrina just sort of not paying any attention,
Mhm.
looking at the walls and shit.
Oh, wait, she was talking. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize she was talking.
There's like this awkward silence as even Aladdin kind of
So-
turns around for a second and
Yeah,
looks at Dolby and keeps on going.
Yeah, Katrina, why don't you give some give us a little more information about maybe some of the benefits that working with your family might give this group with Gostrom.
I mean, the benefits could be conferred to whoever chooses to accept them, I suppose. Working through us to working through the Thomas Shipping Company to ensure both fair trade and fair compensation for your efforts would be beneficial, I think, for the planet, as well as helping to secure independence from direct rule by the Sol system.
We have heard many such offers in our past. Aladdin turns and looks at you for a moment, smiling pleasantly. Our forefathers told us of such deals that were made from people from the Sol System Authority as well as elsewhere. No one does what they say they will do.
Well,
Does that include
part
you?
of
She casts a glance at you and just kind of arcs an eyebrow.
Part of
Well,
our
level with this
shtick
dude.
is it's. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna use real truth because I'm secretly a pompous heir to
Yeah, I know.
to wealth. And I'm from Prime, and so like I would absolutely be able to like level with this person and be like, my people were also betrayed. There's tons of talk about treaties and this and that, and
What do you say?
in this moment, I'm literally saying what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
I can level with you here because of this reason here. Like my family went through the same kind of treaties and a lot of talk. And the only thing I can tell you is that you have to make your own truth. The deal, if you want the deal to be good, you've got to be at the table. So
Aladdin nods.
I just recommend, whether or not you trust us, that it's probably in your best interest to at least hear what we have to say.
We will hear you. She turns to you, Dolby, and nods. If we would not hear you, we would not be here.
Oh, that's true. No, I get it.
Fair. All right.
I would imagine our this is you guys don't want to waste your time with all this. I mean, you know what? I took down a capital ship, so not playing around.
They look up at you. That was you and your fleet then.
No, that was me and our little group.
Oh. The Prime Naval Brigade only sent a single ship.
I'm just gonna look
A
down
lot
at
has
him,
happened. A
like
lot has
and
happened.
like.
A lot has happened in the last 40 or 50 years since you guys settled this place.
It's been 200 years.
Or 200 years. A lot has happened in the last 200 years. We don't
Time has taken some of our time away.
we don't need to send a bunch of ships. We just send one every so often. I mean, if we wanted to, we could level the planet, and
We
that
know
is not a
all
goal.
about what you're capable of doing, Lieutenant.
Not a
We've-
goal.
we've
I think.
Suffered that more recently
Think-
than you know.
Yeah, I believe it.
You assumed we brought a fleet when it was just us.
They just turned. What?
And yet you assumed there was a fleet when it was just us who did all that damage.
I simply wanted to know your numbers. as Aladdin doesn't say anything else, turning away from you, Telmus. Dolby, let's see. You're talking, all of you are talking. You can bid or throw down to gain a kind of sense of Aladdin's demeanor right now.
I bid line of greatness.
You can tell Aladdin doesn't like you. You specifically.
That's fair, yeah.
Is on edge, is holding it really holding it together really well. But you can tell you have accomplished your goal in pissing them off. Does anyone else bid or throw down?
I would like to.
You just get
bid,
different information.
I would like to bid just another flaw, which is bloody, because I'm probably a little bit bloody, to gauge them, because I'm kind of on edge about this person. I get that we're in a bad spot, and I realize that they know that they could be dead at any second. So I think what I would like to know is that we'll have a conversation with whoever, maybe, because we're coming in aggressively, but we know that we're not going to live. None of us would live if we got in a fight.
Dolby, you can tell, having been bloody, that it seems like Aladdin's intention is to actually take you to wherever you're going to talk. That said, it dawns on you, they're absolutely vetting you guys right now.
Yeah. And do I gauge that she or they dislike the people I'm with, or me specifically?
You can tell you can tell as you're sitting there, not as strongly as Katrina tells, but Katrina's she's being herself, which is, some people respond very well to, but that this person has been triggered, we'll say.
I'm delightful.
I mean, listen, this is a desert dweller. I don't,
I don't think you know what that word
from
means.
The future. Anyone else want sort of a reflexive perception here?
I'm going to, since I'm the one who's being quiet and being observant, I'm going to bid my nature free thinker.
Lies. Yeah? What sort of information do you want, or do you just want the sort of general?
Well, I'm trying to scope everything in.
Okay. You guys have moved down the way a few hundred feet, have taken a few turns. Skip, you've noticed that there's corridors that go off, smaller, because you're in a cave, right? So it's very cave-like, because it's not cave-like, it is a cave. Maybe the thought of, you could probably get lost down here, although the main corridor is pretty well lit and it's wider. Maybe the thought of, you wonder where those other tunnels go. We'll say that you catch the glimpse of some light in a couple of them. They're smaller. Maybe it's like storerooms or something like this. And you'll catch a whiff of fresh air for a moment. You can tell that there's likely another entrance or exit to this place. There's also the smell of briny water for a moment. And maybe a little bit of movement, some voices just echoing off the walls. Nothing nothing you can tell what it says, but you can tell there's people close. So you're maybe coming upon another room. Very general stuff. Anything specific you want to know?
No, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to montage to our inference.
As you montage forward, Aladdin turns. You do a hard right. This is a good 120, 130 degree turn, and you actually have to climb up a little bit.
So am I doing one of these, or is it huge?
It's not huge. The tunnel's always at least 8 or 10 feet tall in your
Okay,
the
so
ceiling.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, Cherokee might be a little claustrophobic. He is 6'8", but you're fine.
6'10" actually. We rolled for it.
Oh, you're
remember?
6'10". That's right. You're 6'10".
Yeah.
Maybe you have to squeeze a little bit, but it looks
Turn
like
sideways for doorways.
yeah, it looks like there's enough room to bring crates through. And in fact, we'll say now that you're squeezing by, maybe some of the rocks have been laser cut to provide that facility. So they've moved supplies perhaps through here before.
Interesting.
As you take this hard 120 degree angle, climb up, you finally reach this final tunnel where out ahead it widens up and there's a much larger chamber. In that chamber, there's no door to this chamber, but in that chamber, it almost looks like bunk beds or a triage. Like if you go to after a natural disaster and you would see they've just converted a large room with beds. I think that makes sense. Or an impromptu medical tent for you guys, after on
a
a
screening
battlefield
area, right?
Yeah. Looks like perhaps a couple hundred beds, and you see a couple hundred people in here, all milling about doing various things. They all look well equipped for the desert. If you've seen the what is it? It's not The Last Samurai. Is it The Rising? It's not The Rising Sun. What the fuck's that movie called? Christian Bale's in it, and he's like a kid. Empire of the Sun, I think.
Yeah.
Where like a POW camp, where they have they have loads and loads of various baubles and bits and pieces and trunks and weapons. And think of Total Recall when they go in, they find the dissidents and they have all the tables out and there's ammunition on the tables and maps and stuff, and it's a little bit of a hodgepodge
refugees
thing.
or displaced people.
Exactly, and you'll get a narrative point as you realize not all of them are military, and they're not refugees. They're displaced. They're probably on the move, this kind of thing. Perhaps you guys have even seen this kind of thing before on some of your missions. As Aladdin, unless you guys do something, walks you through the main alleyway of this barracks and takes you to yet another door. Yet another door. There haven't been any doors. There even takes you to a door, an actual door. You are muted, Lieutenant.
There are a lot of doors in this place.
One door.
Sliding doors over here.
Are we in the montage or are we in the dread?
You were in the montage, but you can drop into the dread if you want.
I just want
Good with being
to,
in the montage.
as we're in the montage, I just want to make note of where attacks would come from in here. As we're
Looking
walking
around,
through.
you're in the montage, so
Yeah.
you're not bidding, right?
Yeah. yeah, so-
Looking around, you're a tactical kind of
Yeah.
dude. They wouldn't want to fight in here. Preferably, they would go somewhere else. But they could flip over crates and bunk beds and these kinds of things. This is not the best place. Skip, you could tell if the fight was brought here, they're either on retreat or they're already losing.
Okay.
They're going to fight in the tunnel and run away before they get to here.
Okay.
The smell of food, actual food, fills the air as you see a little TP looking thing with think of a little Star Wars fire, like Star Trek fire where they've shot it with a phaser and the rocks are glowing, and there's this wild meat, big pan where they're grilling all kinds of stuff and potatoes and such, and there's some 2 or 3 metallic vats that's cooking. As you see Katrina,
Hey.
like a child, playing with some of the baubles around.
Hey, Aladdin, I'd give you my left nut for a plate of real food.
Aladdin turns. There's kind of a moment where you can tell that they're wondering as they nod in motion. Please help yourself.
I don't think I've
Do
ever.
I have to give you my
eaten-
nut, or can I actually just have a plate?
What?
So I get to keep my nut then?
What?
Okay, I think we're good, right? This is fine.
Aladdin looks up at you. Perhaps I've never been to the Soul System. Our language has changed in the last couple hundred years. I have no idea what you're saying.
To be fair, I'm not the smartest. I would not use me as the benchmark.
She shares a glance with all of you. You may all eat the food if you wish.
I mean, we could go for some mountain oysters, if you're offering.
I was hoping not to.
She just sort of puts her nose up. I will await you at this doorway. As you see, there's a metal doorway with, sliding panel and all, lights, and it's much more futuristic than a cave. As they go over and stand next to it.
Why don't you guys both go and eat whatever you want? I think I'll just I'll head with Skip. You guys hang.
I'm already following with the plate.
Yeah, Katrina definitely goes and gets some food as well.
Yeah, you guys will go over and you're grabbing food at present.
I'm gonna insist that we keep moving forward to Aladdin while they eat.
What do you actually tell Aladdin?
Aladdin, my crew are clearly hungry. I'm okay, and Skip, I'm pretty sure, is just fine. I think we go ahead.
Hey Skip, roll a d6. Actually, no, roll your brawn and your action die. This is the Arbiter being attack.
Uh-oh.
I got 1 success.
That's enough. Your stomach kind of grumbles a little bit. Maybe it's been a while since you've had any food. Like 11 years since you've had real food. But you're fine.
Can I use season to notice
Aladdin
that they're
nods.
leaving me?
Of course, your crew will be fine. Sorry?
Can I use season to notice that they're leaving me and chase behind with my plate?
You can use season to chase behind and to be up with them with your plate. Yes, as we'll pop out of the montage. Bidding seasoned, it's like taking a combat shit except for food. You somehow get through the line, get your food, have eaten half of it as you're taking over one of the bunk beds, and you're right behind as the door is sliding open. Aladdin does a code on the door, does the whole retina thing, takes off all of the clothes, does a body scan, whatever, right? Farts into a little, whatever.
Puts their butt on the door so it
Puts the butt on the door, butt print.
Yep. It's like a
Looking
scanner.
at you. No one's ass is exactly the same as the door opening. Fog. Steam. It's dramatic.
They have butthole fingerprint scanners. They just know the pattern of everyone's butthole is different.
Katrina, hours go clockwise. Anyway, Katrina, you are in the food line as you hear Cherokee Sue stomp away, dang, 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 and you find yourself alone with all the dissidents.
Yeah. So Katrina, grabs her plate and full of food now and sits at the table.
Tank.
Like, so,
Sit down.
what do y'all do for fun around here?
Do you bid anything, or are you simply asking? Meaning, do you want something to happen? You want the narrative to change in some way?
Yeah, you know what, Katrina, I'll bid confidence. Katrina, they can tell Katrina has no discomfort at just like plopping herself down in the middle of their space, just being like, "Yeah, I'm here. What's up?"
Is Katrina attempting to assert herself, or to submerge herself? That's the wrong word. What's the word?
Ingratiate herself.
Ingratiate herself with them.
Yes.
That's what she's trying to do. As
You're trying to blend in, right?
thank you, thank you for the words.
Trying to make friends.
As
Maybe.
Katrina, you sit down, and it's almost like a scene, like in like a prison or something. I'm thinking in the Sherlock Holmes movie, the first one, where they come in thinking he's getting his ass beaten, but actually he's like telling jokes and shit, and everybody's friend. As you just sort of you shed the guise of a military person, like a coat. It's not you anyway. You know, you're not actually a military person. As you throw that off, and despite wearing PMC military, armor and such.
Well, actually, because the armor, well, I mean, the armor would be her own mercenary gear.
Oh, you're wearing your merc gear because you have your EV suit and all that stuff. Oh, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That you seem like a mercenary, and there's a little bit of an edge to that. But you notice that the people sitting at the table and who crowd around a little bit, there's more curiosity than there is fear. Meanwhile, door opens. Dun, 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 dun. It's another room.
Roomy.
It's actually a hallway. A hallway is a downward slope. Those of you that get into the geology might note certain things about this. Maybe you don't. It is cooler. There's more of a wind. And skip that fresh air scent, as well as the briny water, or metallic water. You can smell that a lot stronger in here as the door shuts behind you. This door is around 1.5 feet thick. It is made of metal. And it has those big, like, piston lock things, if you know what I'm talking about.
Like a bank vault.
Like a bank vault door. Yeah, it would be difficult to cut through. Chunk. As you continue heading down.
Hey, Skip, you want some of this food before it gets cold?
No, thank you.
I'm going to eat the rest of this if you don't. I'm being very serious.
Let's see if the food's any
Okay.
good. I believe it's going to be heavily spiced. Will one of you roll a d6 or a d12? Doesn't matter. And hold on. Who's going to roll? Actually, all of you roll it. All of you roll a d12.
Everyone.
D12.
Wait, 12?
Why not? Yeah. I just like
Okay.
d12s.
Oh, please.
The higher, the better.
Ooh.
There we go. There's 12. I picked up a 10.
11.
Ooh, an 11.
8.
So 11, 8. So it's 19. Keep on going.
6.
So 25. We're a little above average. One more. Right?
Did you also get 11, Dobby?
I said 11.
Okay. Wow.
Did you not hear me?
So you both got 11. Well,
I think that's where the confusion was, yes. I
Alright,
also
so-
rolled an 11.
so remember, if you got a 10 or higher, you get flair.
Ooh. Does that mean we get traits back? Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
I
that roll.
needed that.
So then 11, so that
Needed
means it's
that.
36. So yeah, it's actually pretty good food. Heavily spiced. This is desert food. The kind of dry, spicy that sort of works on you after a while. The meat is tender. There's a little bit of an oily taste to it. Think of lamb. You're not really sure what you're eating. Potatoes are potatoes. We'll say that they're purplish blue. But it's delicious. It is so spiced, maybe the thought crosses your all's mind who are eating. Is it masking something? Don't know, but it is very expertly cooked. Campfire food. As I'm going to beat a dead horse with this, maybe it's that you haven't eaten in 11 years.
Maybe it's a dead horse.
Maybe it's a dead horse.
It could. In fact, it would be very tough if that was the case.
Hey.
It's
As
people.
you finally go down, you see hewn steps. Looks like they've been laser cut, and it gets far more steep because they're stairs, and stairs are steep. The stairs wind around quite a ways as you feel you're going deeper and deeper into Novus Terra. We'll say a couple stories down. There's that feeling of you're in the belly of this place.
You guys never thought of elevators?
Aladdin turns and kind of laughs. If we only had time. This is one of our... And they stop and look back at you. You see them squint their eyes at you and a wry smile. Touché. As they continue leading you down the stairs. Katrina! So, they said that you're a Martian? It's Martian, you idiot, as they start arguing about how to pronounce.
Martian is correct. Yeah. And actually,
Coin is exchanged.
surprisingly, it seems like your planet's at least topography seems very similar to home.
Really?
It's a little, it's a little more terraformed on Mars, but overall, yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of similar. Like, maybe at one point there was water on this planet, maybe.
There is water on this planet.
Well, I mean, I guess to say more water than there currently is.
They all sort of nod. What the fuck? What is going on, kid?
Yo, that looks like a botch of AOC clones.
Oh well, nobody in real life could see any of that. So I mean, I guess I
they
can
can?
show.
Yeah, I think you have to show what
show the
what is
group.
going on. What the fuck is going on?
These are the more business oriented.
Descendants in face scan face.
He's just looking.
I was getting to the good stuff. I mean, I had this lady. She's got like a mohawk.
Yeah, it's
she's
pretty
Okay, this lady's cool.
I think I know her.
She's where I was at, but I was going for
He's going
I
to the
wasn't
board.
very-
Do the 7 Jessicas have hive mind?
they don't they can see stuff that I guess our chat can't. So when I'm flipping around to like the different
porno.
people,
We get it
this
all.
guy, he's
I got it looks like Tucker Carlson with his hair.
like he looks like expert.
Yeah, you see that guy? He's like, yeah. We had we had a lot more water before the colony, and before the mining. He with his incredibly blue eyes looking over at a few of the other ones, other people, as they all sort of grumble. It's like when you say the word Trump. Like, what happens
So,
immediately? Everyone has to say something as they're all like blah 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 blah. My opinion.
so you guys don't like the mining?
It's not that we don't like the mining. As someone else corrects their grammar, whatever. It's not that we don't like the mining, it's that Confucius has what he has done with it. It's destroying the planet.
I see.
Who cares about the
And-
planet when we've got the Prime Naval Brigade and Marines at our doorstep every 5 years? As there's like a little scuffle. Shut up, That guy.
Katrina will sort of put her hands behind her back. Well, I could help take care of that problem on both ends, really.
We don't need mercenaries around here, hair guy.
Well, I mean, I
We don't
can
need more
work as a
bloodshed.
mercenary. I can work as a mercenary, but also I am the heir apparent for the Telmis shipping company.
What do you bid?
For this one, we'll bid Strider. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah, let's do that.
You see this guy with the hair, his eyes kind of open up a little bit. It seems as though the other people, you just said a reference, they've been 10 light years away from Prime for 200 years. They have no idea what you're talking about. But there's a couple of them that have heard the name, and you see this guy, his eyes light up. I've heard of Telmis. Telmis, you fought against the SSA.
Yeah, my grandfather made some, shall we say, convenient decisions at the time. He fought against them. He fought against them for a while, but then switched sides at the last moment when he knew that Mars was lost. So in order to ensure the future of our family and our people, he decided to side with them, so that way he could help shape the future of Mars to the best of his abilities.
Wait, I thought the Telmi fought for Mars.
We did, but my grandfather, at the last minute, chose to switch sides, and
Do you mean turned against his own planet?
turned against the military and the government.
As you
At
hear
the
the
time.
big guy in the weird poncho shirt. Turncloaks! They're traitors! That's what she's saying. The traitors. Family of traitors.
Katrina will kind of get a smile on her face and look directly at him. What good is a revolution? What good is a dead revolutionary, as opposed to a living turncloak, as you say, that is able to actually protect their people?
You see the guy, he kind of juts out his beard, this Leonidas kind of beard. You can tell you can tell who he is. He's not impressed by you one bit. As the long hair dude, I understand. We all must make sacrifices. Oh, here it comes again. And I'm not going to roleplay with myself. They start arguing.
Yeah.
There's
Look at
clearly
Katrina.
a back and forth. One likes Trump, one likes Biden, and they're all in the same party.
Yeah. Katrina will kind of, as she's eating, she'll, put her fork down and just sort of slam her hand on the table. I want to make clear that I don't necessarily agree with all my grandfather's decisions. They were made
But you
long
benefited.
before I was.
You benefited,
Sure.
but you benefited.
Right.
And he just keeps repeating it,
you
know, like,
benefited from living on this
shouting the same thing over and over and over because he's right.
What?
Right? Right? Like
Nuh-uh.
if you shout the exact same word over and
Oh.
over, then you're right.
Oh yeah.
True.
Either way.
That's how you convince people.
Right, that's how you convince everyone.
Either way,
Do you
I
bid? 'Cause
plan
they
to
can't
make.
hear you.
Oh, well, fine. I'll bid Oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get me to burn through bids.
Correct.
Okay. Outbid my origin, Mars.
Okay. What do you want to do with the scene?
Katrina will actually. I'm gonna pull my captain move and sort of push her now empty tray to the side a little bit and actually hop up on top of the table that it's on and sort of put her hands on her hips and look directly at the man who's sort of been heckling her, so to speak. I want to make this very clear. I seek to make Mars a better place for everyone, and I would hope to be able to extend that same offer to you as well. I in the end have no real affiliation with the PNB or the PMC. I was picked up by pure happenstance on their way here, and am now working with them in a very temporary fashion. However, our arrangement could be much more long-lasting and long-term and could benefit us all.
As the guy with the beard, you kind of quiet him down. There's grumblings and such, but they're listening to you mostly. Yeah? And how is it, as you hear long-haired guy say, Calvin, shut your mouth for once and listen to her. This might be what we need, an influx of capital or arms. As...
The good thing.
What do you say?
Katrina will say, building on that, the good thing about my family's decision to turn traitor, I will say that I again don't necessarily agree with all my grandfather's decisions, but one thing it has given us is a good deal of leeway with the Soul System Authority. They, at the very least, give us a much longer leash than those who fought against the Soul System. And in that regard, it is possible for us to bring weapons and new goods to this market at a steeply discounted price, and in a way that helps make your planet stronger on its own right.
There's much looking and talking under the breath. You can tell the guy with the long hair seems to be eating it up, and even this guy Calvin, his icy exterior breaks for a second, shifty eyes as he considers what you're saying could help them. Moving into the tunnel. As you guys descend the stairway, you reach the bottom of the stairs. There is a door. Of course, the door is open. It's another similar door to the one above. Out in this chamber, you see glistening pool of very dark water. Think of water that you can't see the bottom, so it almost looks black. The water itself has the same bluish gray that the sea on the planet had. There's a smell of brine, of salt, as well as metal coming from it. And here and there, you might notice, is that a spark that appears on the water and then, almost like a ripple, goes across it. Nothing seems to be within the water otherwise. There's a path that leads around the edge of this chamber. This chamber is a good 30 to 40-ish feet at its apex. Again, a hollowed out oubliette style cavern with this well of water in it.
Do you drink that stuff?
A half crescent of walkway, and as the walkway leads to the other side, you see it open up into what is the word? Not a plateau. A higher place in the ground where there are some crates and some tables. Looks like rudimentary computers and such. Off to the left is another tunnel with a shallow, it's a short-lived tunnel that opens into a much smaller room. You can hear the blips and beeps of computers and see almost like a command station. One last description for you. The plateau, the higher place in the on the opposite side of this pond, it continues going in elevation past that plateau sharply, and then you can see the mouth of the cave, and if it had not been nighttime, you would see daylight. There's wind coming down from it. What were you saying, Dolby?
Oh, I was gonna ask Aladdin if they drink the water. Is this your potable water?
Yes, you should try some.
Maybe when I get to know you better. I don't want to drink your resources.
Cherokee, since you're right there, you note the wry smile on Aladdin's face as this exchange
I thought
happens.
I was picking up some sarcasm there. I'm just gonna pat Dalby on the head and not say anything else.
You follow Aladdin, I'm assuming, on the crescent path. About halfway, they turn and look back and say, that stopping movement, say, try to not get into the water. It might give you a shock. As they continue. You get to the command tunnel. So directly to your left is the short-lived tunnel where there's a command room, computers. There's technician type people. Think of Empire Strikes Back, the Rebel base. They've got maps and all kinds of stuff in there. Out here is less officer-y, but it's still sort of a staging point. People gearing up and that kind of stuff. All in all, maybe 30 people are in either one of these rooms total.
Do I, having bid a couple of the things that I bid, do I kind of have a security assessment of what's going on in the base and vulnerabilities and stuff like that?
With some of your bids up, you gain the obvious knowledge.
Yeah.
This is a command post. They've likely moved before. You found out from Aladdin that there are more of these elsewhere in the planet. This looks, it's not really temporary. Like they've probably been here at least a short while, like maybe weeks, that kind of thing. The thought may cross your mind, where's the latrine? You haven't seen one of those.
Sure.
They don't really smell. I mean, they're dirty. They've been in the desert, but maybe those questions, like, is this where they live? There's some holes in the plot in that regard. How do they move all these people? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do I kind of get a feeling of how they're doing, like physically? Are they doing well? Are they just subsisting? Are they?
Yeah, they seem like they're
look
doing
pretty
well.
healthy.
They look
we walked
healthy.
through the bazaar earlier.
They had plenty of food.
Yeah.
You know, they are supplied. Looking at the computers and such, it doesn't look like they have really high tech stuff. For example, let's see. The holographic displays that they use are nowhere near as advanced as your all's. Like they probably couldn't pull out the holograms and send them to each other, kind of like in The Expanse. They don't have that technology.
Sure.
Yeah, it's predicated stuff.
And do I get the idea that they're not on edge or anything? They seem pretty calm.
They seem serious and ready,
Yes,
but not
ready. But
not
not
worried. They don't seem worried.
Yeah.
Since your bid is still active, from these sort of tactical ideas, some context. You guys detonated the tactical nuke over 1,000 miles away. Likely they didn't even see it, and they definitely didn't hear it. It's not that powerful. Granted, it was in the atmosphere. Someone may have seen it. Have they been monitoring the colony's communications? Potentially they know, but it's only been a few hours since you guys actually arrived here. So there's that idea that they don't quite know what has happened, potentially. Or maybe they know everything. It's...
And was it open air? Are they breathing the open air?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, none of them have. Aladdin had a respirator on when they were outside.
But just
they
respirated.
Correct.
Were their eyes covered or anything?
Nope.
Or just fully immersed? All right.
Yeah, and the respirator was, you could tell, was more for dust.
Mm-hmm. Not for oxygen. They didn't have an oxygen pack or anything.
Not at all.
Environment's highly
Just like a filter. Can I ask, Aladdin, how do you breathe the air out there?
It's a furrowed brow. She looks at not Burgess because he's not there. At Skip. Up at Cherokee. I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't see. You're not like carrying around oxygen or anything. Is it just like
Why
a
would
filter out? Are you acclimated to this environment?
Of course, this is my home.
So if you went outside, you would just breathe fine without any issue?
Yes. Unless there was a desert storm, of course.
Okay.
Or an electrical storm.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Anything just naturalized to the
Confused.
planet? Okay.
Do you
I
not
think
breathe on Prime
Can I ask,
any longer?
are we at a high elevation also? Like, not only is it highly oxygenated,
you're
but
a few
aren't
hundred
we
feet
at
up.
a high elevation?
You're a few
Okay.
hundred
I
feet.
thought we were higher than that. That's my bad. I was just curious.
No, you're in the mountain, but it's not too high. Like the mountain itself, like you're in the foothills, and then the mountains are quite large. But you're not like way up.
I was just curious how thin the air is. Like, I know it's highly oxygenated, but we're
The
also
air's actually
at
quite
elevation.
thick. So in Novus Terra, there's a thick oxygenated atmosphere. So even if you were a little bit higher, it's still going to be thicker. In fact, it'll actually get you a little high.
Yeah, it's like huffing gas.
Which
Yeah,
means
and
on
there-
Soul, these people would probably suffocate.
You know,
you not-
you'd find this funny, Aladdin. I really haven't spent that much time on planets, so I don't really know fully how planets work. I grew up on a little moon, but there was no oxygen.
There was no moon.
It was just
There was no oxygen on your.
we.
What a strange
If we didn't
place to
have we had the vacuum of space, basically. You know, there was a little atmosphere, but it wasn't oxygen.
I have never been to space.
Well, if you want
You're not
to,
missing
maybe
much,
we'll
friend.
go on a trip someday.
Keep your feet where the ground is.
Does
You can
everybody
Hmm.
have the? Is that kind of normal on your planet? What's going on? Never mind.
Furrowed brow again. Sort of just like a woolly worm. What do you mean? You all can wait here. I will go speak to Gostrom as they turn
That's
and
cool.
walk into the command post.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna turn to Dobby and be like,
Katrina
"Look,
stabbed
I'm
something
not
with her
right," but that did not go well. we've got to fucking be cool, man. Like, what are we doing right now?
I'm gonna message our buddy Archangel and say anything on the chatter.
I am right here. I've been listening.
Have you heard any chatter? What are they still looking for us? Any are they
Chatter.
would we be worried? Chatter on the comms. We have access to the comms. Any
Wait, you wanted me to monitor the comms? I was monitoring you.
Well, and I thought you could do all of this stuff simultaneously. I thought you were like some kind of computer, like you could just do all of it.
I mean, listen, I can't do everything all at once. I can phase through matter in space time. I can't go backwards in freeze time. Or what do you want me? Hold on. As he switches out, you can hear it, and he is apparently now listening to the enemy or the colony's communication.
As long as engineering's listening and Wilhelm, just stay on.
This Archangel's not listening anymore.
Yeah, good.
He clicked off.
Yeah.
You'll hear engineering. Dolby, Lieutenant, did you want us to be monitoring the?
No, just listen in while you do your work. That's all.
To
keep an eye on.
We've been listening to you because you said to do that. Do you mean listen to the colonies? Communication?
Yeah, that's what our Archangel is doing now. I just checking in.
Okay.
Just saying hi.
Vesper
neat that our
is
comms
doing
working
well. Everything seems okay.
That was awkward, right, Skip?
Action's on you guys. Dolby, you had told them to listen to follow you guys. They weren't listening to the comm.
Good.
As far as you know.
Yeah.
Action's on you guys.
Throw a tip at it.
So I guess we're waiting out here. How you doing, Skip?
I want to look over at the hole to the outside. Is it like is it window size? Is it door size?
So this plateau part that you're on from the pond goes on for a good piece, 20, 30 feet at its widest edges. And then there's a stark incline, a lip that leads off to where this exit is. You can just barely see the exit from where you are. So it's a pretty good hill, if you will, up. Easily traversed. It's just, a grade, like something would roll down the grade, right? Think of like a big a hill on a driveway.
Seems like they're not worried about security around here.
Looks like
walk
the mouth
in, walk out.
Looks like the mouth of the cave is rather wide.
Yeah.
I think I just. Oh yeah.
Is there a way that I can speak through our comms only and not be broadcast out, not so that people can't hear me around us?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm.
You have your helmet on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to do that so the people around us can't hear, and
Sure.
be like, "Sir, why would we go through two thick doors for them just to have an open way into their command center right here? Something's odd about that."
You're right. Something's odd about everything that we do. We kind of just. I presume they're assessing if they want anything to do with us or if they don't. I think they presume they know what we want. Our goals are clear enough, and I feel like they are not aligned with Confucius. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and we don't really care what's going on. Did you want to say something, Cherokee?
What do we want again?
I just trade. You know, we want everybody to be happy and in line. We don't want war. We want peace. We're peacekeepers.
Are
The
we?
real question is. The real question is, when do we want it?
Now.
Yeah, Katrina, you can hear them if you have your helmet on, or if you have. Your
Oh yeah,
earpiece
that's
in.
true. Oh shit. But, no, no.
Wow. I just want to know how my compatriots are eating the food with their helmet on. Can you describe that?
Well, Katrina wouldn't be.
Like Pac-Man.
Katrina would have taken her helmet off, but she might still have her. Well, I mean, she's a Netic anyway, so she kind of always has an earpiece in. Yeah.
How's she doing at breathing
Katrina
in the
might
air?
go. Well, we're inside, so it's fine. Probably.
Ish.
Right. So your helmet's off, earpiece is in. You hear this conversation. As you're sitting there eating, you have found out the person with the poncho of a shirt, the big guy with the beard, who's rather hawkish. He kind of has even a hawkish looking face. His name is Calvin. And the dude with long hair and the piercing blue eyes is his name is Beefton. They're not necessarily on your side, but you've been talking a pretty good game, and you can tell that these two, they have several people that maybe they don't follow them. Like these people are not necessarily leaders per se, but they are people that others will listen to. They're at least the most
Term is
vocal.
opinion leaders.
Yeah,
Follow
opinion
silence.
leaders. They're influencers, if you will. As they
Katrina,
talked back and forth and have asked you, in what way could you actually make what you're proposing happen? And when are you going to betray the Marines you're with?
how I would make that happen would be as simple as a communique to my father, getting him to arrange the paperwork and ships for transport.
But how far away is your father? Calvin says.
Well, last I heard, my father was doing a business deal on Jupiter. But
Jupiter. What's a Jupiter? As they all sort of murmur, and Beefton says, it's one of the planets. Pardon our ignorance, we know very little of Sol.
But in terms of actual support, given that my family has access to top of the line equipment, and
So that's 4 or 5 years away, communique. You can help us in a decade.
actually, it's a little bit. It's not as far away as you might think, given the right connections, shall we say. With your guys' technology, you're right. Your ships are a bit behind the times, though, I'm afraid.
They all share glances at each other.
Don't forget, your ships have basically been what they are since the colony was founded.
So how fast
they're-
could you get a communique to your father?
The communication wouldn't take that long. Maybe a few months at most to hear back. In terms of the actual transport of the goods, maybe a couple years.
So, would you like to bid or throw down to know about what these numbers would be?
Yeah, that's fair.
Or to just
I will
blatantly lie.
bid.
You can do that too.
It's not blatantly lying.
We
I
have
might be like.
technology, see, with technology.
I mean, we do have technology. I'll bid expert pilot.
So, on a Mark 5 gravity drive, which is what you guys use on the gunboat, it took you 10 years to get here. That's because you can travel about the speed of light. When it's all said and done, you travel about the speed of light. I'm going to say this one more time. For the chat and all these things, the way they experience time dilation and all the numbers and all this crap, it works out to where whatever the light years are, that's how long it takes them to get there. They don't really experience time dilation. Okay. There are reasons it's in the splat. Now, to send a communique, it would take you 10 years because that's how long it takes light to get there. But because of the buoys, the communication buoys that are set in gravity eddies, you can cut that down by a quarter. So it'll take around 2.5 years one way. That is what the SSA can do right about now. There is rumored to be subspace that can do it much faster in terms of, that's the pseudoscience, that's the Star Trek-y thing. Supposedly that exists. It would take months for it to be for it to send instead of years. The exact numbers you'd have to run through, blah blah blah, and honestly I don't want to do it right now. But all in all, the fastest from Seoul 10 years, because that's how long it takes to literally get there. Right? Now, is there a Mark 6 gravity drive? Supposedly. Even then, you're talking about 5 years, 6 years? At least. There's rumors, there's theories of other stuff. Of things you actually know, maybe 5 or 6 years away is where the things would be coming from Seoul. Your best bet would be using Telemus's, if they have an actual distribution company, outside of the Seoul system, somewhere nearer to here. Which, if you're a bunch of mercenaries, the likelihood of that is great. Or if you have connections with pirates or that kind of stuff.
Well, Telemus shipping would definitely have a lot, basically would have outposts as far out as they could reasonably manage. They probably wouldn't have anything quite out this far, just because it was a known problem area. But beyond that, I would think they would probably have. I mean, admittedly, I don't know exactly how close the nearest thing is in your unit, in the world. But I would imagine they would probably have something fairly close by.
So to give you an example, where you are is still within the proximal colony zone. So proximal colonies of Seoul are up to around 10 light years away. Past that are called distal colonies because they're really, really far. And the furthest colony that you all know of, or I should say the furthest colony that the public knows of, is around 20 light years. Of course, you all know that, Whisper Base was like 21 or so, which obviously if Whisper Base was 21 out, there's likely even further out.
Yeah.
The Axminster system is way out there too. Go on, sorry.
What would be the closest Soul Alliance system?
Oh, all of them.
I should say, what would be
literally
the closest,
every system that's a colony, literally all of them are Soul aligned. If they're not, then they get a visit by you guys.
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is, what's the closest colony to where we're at now?
I will find out real quick.
Okay.
In the meantime, let's take a short break. That'll let me look up some stuff. We can use El Baño. Wow. Refresh our drinks and such. And we'll be back in like 10 minutes. Ken, you want to lead us out, or do we want to give it to Drizzle?
I thought Drizzle was on.
Drizzle!
I don't want to do all of the.
Thank you guys for listening to the first half. Stick around. We're going to take a short break and come back with the second half. We'd like to thank our cast, Bill Bunkum as the Arbiter, Andrea Elliott-Johnson, Ken Howl, Jazzy Cabbage, and me, Drizzle. We'd like to thank the music, which is provided by all lowercase letters and Mr. Interrupt. We'd also like to thank our Patreon people, Nostalgic, Natalia Cline, Tim Roberts, Daniel Hucker. All the pretty stuff you're seeing, all those flashy pictures off to the side of us, that's all done by Couchfire Media. We'd like to thank them. And we'd also like to thank Terrible Productions for whatever the fuck they do.
That's right.
We'll be back in 10-ish minutes.
Back it up.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still on. I hit the wrong button.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Buttons are hard.
But it's gonna happen, and just 1 second when I hit the correct button. All right.